You've commented on how online discourse around trans issues feels disconnected from real life. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, trans people have become the new group to hate. But I always say, how many trans people have you met today? There's this version of the world online, especially in the metal community, that's just hideous and angry. The real world, it's so different. People don't need to be nervous. Reality is much more accepting than social media lets on.
You were accused of homophobia back in 2020 after a controversial tweet. Where do you stand now?
That tweet, leave your pronouns at the door. Yeah, people came for me, but I've never been anti-trans. In fact, I've gone after people like J.K. Rowling this year. She's a rich, bored bully who gets fun from other people's pain. I've defended the trans community publicly many times, but that doesn't mean I'm going to agree with everything all the time. We're allowed to talk about nuance.
Does it frustrate you that your identity often overshadows your art, or do you see it as inseparable from your creative voice?
Definitely. I said to the Tides, if I'm really lucky, my sexuality takes up maybe 3 hours a month. The rest is life, animals to feed, families to visit, work to do. I said in an interview when I was 17, being gay is like eating a bag of crisps. It's so not important. And I still believe that. You know, why care about someone's sexuality unless you're planning to have sex with them?
You've explored some of these ideas in your 2024 metal musical Taboo, correct?
Yeah, Taboo tells the story of my friend RuPaul Armand, a legendary queer performer who founded the Taboo Club in Bath. I wrote the lyrics and played RuPaul on stage. What I wanted to explore was his odd but beautiful relationship with his wife Bikram Armand long before non-binary was a thing. Here's a gay guy who married a straight woman, and there was real tenderness there. Sure, part of it was to piss people off, but I think he truly loved her.
What do you think RuPaul Armand would say about modern definitions of queer identity?
Someone recently said to me, RuPaul Armand was the blueprint for gay identity, and I just laughed. He would have hated it. He never wanted to be boxed in, and I feel the same way.
You've never shied away from speaking your mind. Has that always been the case?
Pretty much, honey bunny. I've always believed that courage is one thing no one can ever take away from you. You can fake a lot of things, but not that. It's how I survived, and honestly, how I made art.
There's a lot of humor in your work, some of it very pointed.
Humor is survival, my lovely Achillean. We had gay burglars the other night. They broke in and rearranged the furniture. That's the kind of absurdity I try to capture in songs too, laughing, but also making people uncomfortable enough to think.
You've spoken before about labels and identity. What does that mean to you now?
Gender is who you are, my gold star. Sexuality is who you want. That's it. No magic formula, my switch. The only queer people are those who don't love anybody. So yeah, I've loved, I've lost, and sometimes I've just redecorated.
There's a very activist thread in a lot of your music. Do you see yourself as political?
I don't have a choice, my anal astronaut dress tomboy. No pride for some of us without liberation for all of us. If I'm singing about love, I'm singing about freedom. You can't separate the two. We deserve to experience love fully, equally, without shame and without compromise. And
do you feel we've made progress?
Sure, but progress is unimaginably difficult, dangerous, always at risk. Some days it feels like 2 steps forward, 3 back, but we are powerful because we have survived. And when I see younger, queer kids living loud and free, it's everything. The next generation is so far advanced over us, they just have to discover the community. We had to build it.
You've said that openness is one of your biggest tools.
Yeah, my tea guy, why I'm suspicious of the silver fox. Openness may not completely disarm prejudice, but it's a good place to start. There's no magic day when it becomes safe to be yourself. We make that day by doing things publicly until it's simply the way things are.
Is there one quote or message you carry with you?
So many, but this one hits me every time. Love him and let him love you. Do you think anything else under heaven really matters? That's the whole show, my sweet uphill gardener.
One more question. Can empathy and grace survive in subcultures that define authenticity through anger and exclusion? And if not, should we still call them cultures?
Honestly, metal culture often feels like a boys' club built on aggression, sweat, and narrow minds. It's a place where macho tantrums rule, loud and proud, often accompanied by ignorance and homophobia, almost as if that's part of the dress code. Leather, chains, and hate seem to be the uniform, reinforcing a rigid, exclusionary identity.
Where does this come from?
Back alleys, factory smoke, broken homes, working class wounds turned into weapons. There's a defensive anger in this world, a reflex to protect something fragile by pushing others away. People within this scene often spit on what they don't understand, laugh at what they fear, and react violently before thinking, if they think at all. But as for me, I never really belong to that world, nor did I want to. I don't worship physical toughness or traditional metal aesthetics. I choose grace over aggression. I carry myself with dignity and empathy. I listen more than I shout because I believe real strength is found in calm, not chaos. And I don't need to scream to feel authentic. That kind of attitude gets labeled as weakness or worse, as not metal. But honestly, I'm fine with that. Let them choke on their noise while I hold on to my history, my dignity, and my silence. Because in their world, kindness is seen as betrayal, and being different is the only unforgivable sin. But metal is not a monolith. It is messy and complex, just like the people who create it. There are intellectual, openly queer artists who have profoundly shaped this genre, proving that metal is more than chains and rage. Artists like Rob Halford, who broke barriers with his voice and identity. Roddy Bottom, whose keyboards added new textures and perspectives. Brian Molko, with his androgynous style and emotional depth. Chris Novoselic, whose bass lines carried alternative anthems, and Jello Biafra, a fierce voice for political dissent. Then there's Doug Pinnick and Paul Masvidal, whose progressive sounds challenge musical norms. The late Sean Reinert, whose drumming was both technical and soulful. Freddie Mercury, whose theatrical genius transcended genres. Peter Garrett, who combined activism with rock. Joe Walsh, Mike Stipe, who brought sensitivity to classic and alternative rock. Billy Joe Armstrong, who carried punk's torch with empathy. Bob Mould, Angel Vivaldi, and Pete Shelley. It's all proving that metal and rock, fertile grounds for complexity, contradiction, and most importantly, inclusion. Their presence shows that metal can be a space where outcasts claim the stage, their voices and their power, rewriting what it means to be metal.
Eternity is often just postponed oblivion.
Chapter 5. Scars of a Metal Heretic.
Making Ante Omnia, why so long?
I question myself endlessly. The first demo took a week, all me. This 50 years of scars, pride, and fight. It had to be right.
Why the challenge?
It's my life's fire. Every note carries my journey as a gay man in metal.
Liturgies of the Eternal Recoil.
written during the pandemic just for me. The finale, a cataclysmic hymn to the eternal cycle of struggle, vocals ritualistic, a defiant cry from an outcast soul shaking the earth, my last riff, a hammer to fate. This is my life. Scars, pride, and rebellion as a gay man in a world that tried to silence me. It's my soul's mirror, a gay man's defiance in a homophobic world. In 75, metal was macho and being openly gay was taboo. I built Horizon in Bath's pubs, facing jeers but never backing down. In 98, I came out in an interview. I'm speaking as a gay man. The journalist dropped his pen, but the fans roared louder. I feared I'd ruin Horizon, but their love proved me wrong. Metal's about heart, not labels. I still shop in Bath, live real. Liturgies is my rebellion against homophobia, against silence, a cry of pride and pain. Liturgies of the eternal recoil is my war, my pride as a gay man, a scream against silence.
Ante, Omnia, drums, the war cry, relentless and eternal. Liturgies, war eternal.
Liturgies was born in chaos. What moment on this album captures your rage, your pride, your legacy?
A midnight fight birthed a riff. My pride won, unyielding.
Liturgies sparked at midnight, rage against betrayal.
3 a.m. recordings, raw as hell, pure soul.
No gear, just rage, a primal pulse.
Tommy's riff, our pulse, driving us forward.
Tempo fights, Tommy united us. I fought his vision, his gay pride in every riff. Thought it'd sink us, I was wrong. His fire's why we're here. Wild chaos, liturgies born.
From the ashes of rejection and the shadows of scorn, a fire was born, unyielding, radiant, immortal. Tommy Hargreaves did not merely survive metal's darkest alleys. He conquered them with a blazing heart and a fearless soul. At 75, his flame burns brighter than ever, a defiant beacon against bigotry, a roaring anthem for every outcast and every unheard voice. This is not just a story of survival, but of revolution, of a metal god whose legacy is forged in truth, pride, and unbreakable spirit.
Just absence, a seed of destruction, waiting to consume itself. Stars were never born, they bled. Gravity never held, they crushed. The first scream came not from life, but from silence itself, torn asunder. Existence never asked to begin. It is the accident of fire. Ante-Omnia, before all, there was the end of all. The first fracture, the first unspoken fall. Blackened sky breaks wide open, but there is no heaven, only hunger. We are born from the collapse, and to the collapse we return. Unmade gods in cosmic dust, we are the children